All right, here we are. We are live for another week, and as usual, we have the crew here. We are probably going to talk a bit about SEO, a bit about technology, and a lot about nonsense. Bill, kick us off the usual way. What have you been up to this week?
In the midst of too many conversations.
More interesting than us.
Yeah, he's just lost the train of thought. We're finally all, I could see us all in like 10 years going, hurry, what was that, Ammon? What the heck? Oh, where the hell am I?
I'm getting messages like in Messenger saying that I'm missing a payment of a certain thing and saying that doesn't sound familiar. I look it up and say, yeah, I am missing that one because the guy you sent had no idea that he was supposed to collect money. The people on the phone from the company had promised that they would send me an email asking for my money so that I could respond to it and pay them. Neither of them did either thing. I couldn't pay them, so I didn't pay them. So now they're going to message me, tell me that I didn't pay them. Guess what? I told them that.
You didn't bill me.
Yeah. That's what kind of week it's been.
Well, I never mind when they don't bill me. It's just when they then cut it off, you know.
Yeah.
Dave, what have you been up to this week? Obviously, sharing some nuggets.
Wow, yeah, sharing lots of nuggets. We'll go with it. I guess the same, more of the same, I guess, you know, working hard, trying to get proposals out, took care of that fine woman that you passed along that was having a bad life. We took care of all that. She's going to be okay. Helping lots of young SEOs and stuff, which is really kind of enjoying that kind of side of things. So that's really fun. And obviously coming and hanging out with you guys, you know, so more of the same, enjoying myself out in the trenches.
Yeah, always the best way. Doc, how about you? What have you been up to this week?
Oh, more of the same. Last couple of days I've been sick and going back and forth to the doctor and the pharmacy and whatnot. Got a couple appointments this week. And they decided they want to do a biopsy. I'm really looking forward to that shit. No shit. But trying to crank up some new clients. And things are starting to shape up a little bit. The year is starting out pretty good, considering the fourth quarter of last year was absolute doldrums.
That surprises me. I know, you know, the last few weeks of it certainly were very quiet. A lot of people were saying the last month was kind of quiet. It was more clearing the decks than anything else. But the quarter itself, I didn't think was that bad.
Well, I lost a big client back in the, I think it was the first week of September or last week of August. So that I felt that, and I had not been padding my account. So when I lost that one, I felt it pretty good. And it just, you know, by that time, like we were into the fourth quarter, it just never really picked up again. Like you say, you know, you get into late November, Thanksgiving time, it starts to drop off anyway. So it wasn't any great surprise. I just didn't have a lot stocked away to get through it.
Yeah. I mean, that is the thing. If you lose a client and have to replace one, that's the worst time of year to be doing it, really. The only thing you can do is kind of stop.
Well, I think that's like the old syndrome that I remember Steve teaching me 10, 15 years ago is careful if you have too many eggs in one basket. You know, and see, I've been in that position. You have a big corporate client, so it's a big part of your budget and a huge part of your time. But as soon as that goes away, you're like scrambling, all hands on deck. So,
yeah. You never want any one client to be more than, when you're a small one-man operation, at most 10%. When you're an agency, you're dropping it even lower than that. You never don't want one client to be more than about 5%. Otherwise, you lose that client, you start having to lay people off.
I've seen that happen at big agency. Like you have a client that has like 70-80% of that particular team revenue, and then
Yeah.
Slide.
I had a friend's agency who he had a couple of really big clients, lots of very small ones, but literally his two biggest clients were half of the company's income, and he lost both of them at the same time. And yeah, that was painful. That was several layoffs. That was something like 10 staff he had to lay off. So Fab, what have you been up to? Haven't seen you for a little while.
Yeah, I'm trying. Like everything happens on a Tuesday to sabotage my plan. So I have this calendar invite where like I block from like 6 to 7 to 9:10 in order not to have anything falling into this. But every time there's been something. So same old. We're planning for the year, doing what we haven't done in December in terms of planning a bit, but then hopefully going back to ship some stuff, which is the most fun part. It's good to do decks and explain people what you're doing, but when you stop doing things for a bit, it feels like that you're missing something. But yeah, all good.
How's the integration going? Because of course, people who follow the show know you were recruiting quite a lot last year. I always find the recruiting isn't as hard as then trying to train them all up in the right house style, getting them integrated, communicating. You know, that's hard work.
Yeah, definitely. So like few people that we hired, we didn't have to train them. So it took us so long because we were just kept searching for the unicorn, and then like, to the point that we found few people that we were happy with. So that was fairly smooth. But at the same time, we had few other people in the team that moved to our team within the company, doing particular things within content. That's slightly harder. But that's why we are very, we never hire more people than how many people we have here to onboard these guys, right? So we were 2 specialists in the team on top of what the rest, developers, designer, copywriters, all this stuff. So we were 2 SEO guys, and we hired 2 last year. This year we'll probably add another 1 or 2 or 3, depending on what's going on. So we never go that crazy, despite we probably would have needed them 5 last year, right? But it would have been pretty painful to, also, developers to get used to work with them. That's another thing. It's not just us trusting them to do stuff, right? Is how the rest of the people integrates. So yeah, no, so far so good. We're still hiring, and we're not giving up on that. And like, since we had like, so I spoke at Search London meetup. So one of our guys spoke at Brighton SEO. Since then we have slightly better quality of applicants, so like that is good. So there's some benefit in sharing like what you do and hoping to attract people who like it. But yet it's fairly hard, right? And so time consuming. So I'm not sure we will continue to invest. Like, we haven't invested that much, honestly, right, compared to what agencies and other people do. But like, not sure how that is going. If we find good quality one right now, we're probably not going to spend more time there that much. But yeah, but we did because we were desperate, to the point that I had to go and phone up people myself, telling them, "Do you want to join?" The application that we were getting were nowhere near, and the reason why they weren't is because we couldn't afford to train people, right? I couldn't afford the luxury of having someone that was not able to come here and already run at better speed than what we were. So yeah, all good, busy.
You always want somebody who's going to immediately be able to lessen some of the workload. But even those, as I say, you've still got to introduce them to the people they've got to communicate with, let them know what the house style of communication is. The admin and the paperwork is unique to each company. Exactly. Simon, what have you been up to this week?
Hi there. I managed to finish that PageRank document that I was talking about last week. That took about 14 hours in the end, which is a bit daft. And working on a really interesting project about doing outreach based on mentions. So just grabbing a load of mentions of a client's brand name throughout all the websites, and then basing an outreach campaign off it. That's working really well. I think I spent a bit too long talking to Dave on the dojo, because I ended up getting a couple of blue screens today while I'm trying to record a video. So I think I've caught whatever his computer had.
Yeah. Obviously, everyone's going to just say, well, obviously, yeah, okay, we got where that's going. All right.
So you just couldn't handle the nuggets.
No. But just finishing off the explainer video for a couple of projects, and just digging in with some client work most days. So it's been a good week.
It sometimes seems ironic that you're one of the few in the panel that works quite a bit with video, but never have your camera on.
I was actually going to point out that I did spend 4.5 hours in my shed trying to find my webcam, but I thought, I still haven't got it, so there's no point.
So yeah, we'll pass around the hat a little later, and we'll all chip in and get you a cam. You'll have no excuse.
It's appreciated. I don't know. I think I look a bit too much like Dave for everybody to cope, really.
If we can cope with Dave, we'll be all right.
Oh, okay then.
Steve, how you doing, sir? What you been up to?
I'm good. I just got back from my first vacation in more than 7 years. It was necessary.
Yeah.
So took a trip down to Florida to visit our daughter, and left all the computers here, and no email, no nothing. Came back to a couple of big old barn fires for clients, but that's more their problem than mine. It's like I was only gone a week. How could you do this much damage?
No.
It's like they intentionally went out of their way to do it. Other than that, I got invited to speak at a conference out in LA in September, and I'm trying to see if I can make that work. And been working with our friend Jay Pandian, a charitable organization that he's on the board of that needs more exposure and needs more help. So hopefully we can help him and help build that up. They are rescuing women and girls who are victims of sex trafficking and things like that in India right now, and hopefully expanding to the rest of the world. So it's a big deal, and something that needs a lot of attention. And I think we've got a pretty intense group of marketers here that should be able to blow the whole thing up out of the water for them.
Good. Steve, drop any link you've got for people who'd like to just volunteer to help in any way they can. Drop it in the Google Plus Hangout page, and I'm sure there's some people who would love to help with that. Terry, what have you been up to other than trouble? And muting.
Who are you talking to? Or not be me. We haven't talked to Terry yet, so
Yeah,
go on them.
No, he keeps double clicking his mute, or somebody's playing with him.
There we go. I think it's going to stay on now. There we go.
Yeah, there we go.
Got me too excited, so getting a chance to. I'm usual. Working on some client sites and doing some database stuff. It's keeping busy. Well, as busy as you can be working 3 hours a day.
Actually, sometimes you can be pretty busy working 3 hours a day. And yeah,
I don't take on more work than I can do in that, though. Don't have a lot of clients or a lot of ambitions, so there you go.
Yeah, I'm just checking that link is out there, and it is excellent. Tim, I haven't seen you in a little while.
Okay.
I was just going to say, in regards to what Simon's doing, I did something with mentions a long time ago, and that's a good thing to look at. Don't just look at the brand names. Look at links that aren't href. They can make a difference too.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
the mentions are excellent for as citations for your local stuff. So if I was doing the mentions on the branding part, I would try and weight how much was local and how much was national or international, and see which would affect local listings more. I think that would be an interesting study. Or as I said earlier, try that and see if it works instead of testing. We'll just try that and see.
I had someone correct me on Twitter this morning when I said that citations are more important than links in local. And he said, no, links have more value than citations. And I asked, are you sure about that? He said, after my years of experience doing lots of SEO, I said, you know, I've been doing a couple of years of SEO too. Said, don't use that argument. You're not going to win it.
Well, the truth is they're both important for local. So there you go.
Right, but they don't use PageRank for Google Maps. A link counts as if it were a citation. It doesn't count more than a citation.
I agree.
Doesn't
I think you got
any
your
last season.
Right.
There's so many things you've got to do. Those are like table stakes. You've got to do them and everything else.
Right.
Yeah, but that means that something like a press release is actually worth something because it's got a mention.
Right, and Google Maps is using location prominence, not PageRank.
Yeah, sure. I think there's probably some well, based on the last kind of 3 or 4 local clients I've done, I think there's got to be something relevance-wise to do with the actual landing page they've got them pointing to as well, and its overall authority that's been taken into account, because I've had some existing sites with no Google Maps listings and they just pop straight up. Brand new sites and stuff, and it's taken a lot longer, even with, you know, every citation I can possibly find covered.
Right, location.
Yeah, but are they in the local pack, Simon?
Location prominence cares about how authoritative the main page for a site is. It scores authoritativeness for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I mean, this is literally for turning up in the local pack as well. So, I mean, it's not just showing up for local terms. I'm aiming just for the 3-pack on the terms that are relevant and where the 3-pack shows for them. And I say long kind of lived websites seem to pop up dead easy, yet new ones seem to struggle with just citations. So I'm thinking there's some authority related metric in there somewhere. I'm just not.
Or organic search results, yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking with the maps as well. So it's with the maps listings, I think the URL that you're using in there's grab something.
I think there is some component of the pages and stuff as well for local. So what's on the website as well.
They determine how authoritative your website is for your business. If your website's the most authoritative, it's going to have a higher score. And that counts in location prominence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, we used to dominate in there and get by some categories. Some of our stuff now, where we were always in the local pack, we couldn't buy our way in there. Well, we could buy our way in, but that's the only way we're getting in, I think. I don't know what they changed, but it seems very hard. Of course, when the owner searches for it, he always sees it. We know why that happens. I don't argue with them anymore. It's not worth it.
I did get a phone call from a guy who wanted some SEO done, and I was talking to him, and he had me look up his website in Google, and then he said, my competitor keeps outranking me. And this was back in the days when you used to be able to turn personalized search off. at the top right of the search results.
Yeah.
So I had him turn them off and try to search again. And he said, "Where'd they go?"
Yeah. Yeah. On that note, friend I used to work with years ago, he was a salesman for one of the agencies I was with, and a very good one. You know, he was never afraid to do cold calling and to follow it up. But major thing is, he said, all these years of SEO, it's starting to really rub off on me. I'm ranking really well. Yeah. I'm up there for SEO now. And I said, really? Have you turned off personal? Does that make a difference? I said, yeah, try it. Oh, crap, I'm nowhere. We have a question thrown into the YouTube chat. Somebody has actually asked us a serious question. That doesn't happen very often. What do we feel are the best sources for learning more about local? I mean, obviously, I would quote, you can't not mention Mr. Blumenthal. I would also say Andrew Shotland is still somebody that I follow a lot there. Darren Shaw and the guys at White Spark.
Yeah, but the question is, how much are those guys writing the last while? To be honest, I haven't even checked. Like, I keep getting that same kind of question in various groups you and I hang out, and well, not the local one, but I get them for the other ones. I have to like go back through my list and stuff and go, okay, what's relevant? What's up to date? What's, you know, again, I'm not a local guy, but yeah, like I saw Andrew today and making a comment. Someone, I was like, Andrew, where you been? It's like, holy crap. Like,
well, I wonder if they're looking for a class or if they're just looking for like forums to participate
in. Generally, when people ask that these days, they're looking for some sort of starter guide, and I don't really know of any. But
so,
yeah, if that's what they're looking for, I agree.
Mike Blumenthal and David Mim have a series, I think it's weekly, where they called Street Fight, where they have conversation about local and bring up new things happening in local. And
wait, where do they do this?
I don't know what the URL is, but
what's it called?
Street Fight.
All right, I'll find it. You keep going.
Yeah.
It's streetfightmag.com by the look of it.
And it's interesting. They do bring up some interesting stuff. It's worth a look.
For a forum, I think that the local pros forum on Google Plus is pretty good.
I think when you're first learning about local and stuff, one of the easiest ones to do for kind of a real starter is get an account on somewhere like White Spark or Bright Local, follow through the suggestions and things that those guys are making, and you know, don't pay them to do the citations for you. Manually set them up yourself so you get an idea about the kind of time and work that goes into it, and just follow through and then read a little bit more into the bits that you want to know more about. That worked really well for a few of my guys.
I would also say, don't forget, check out, you know, if you're not already a Google Local contributor, start doing that kind of thing yourself. It used to be the thing when people wanted to learn about directories back in the day, we'd always say to them, look, go and become a DMOZ editor and see the inside discussions that are going on. And I'd say there's still an element to that when you're dealing with working with, you know, Google Local as a contributor.
And Google is sending me lots of emails with questions about places as a local guide. They get awfully nosy about places I go eat lunch.
They are a bit aggressive though sometimes, to the point that you know you have to tell them that, you know, unless you pay me as a full-time job, I'm probably going to give you a little bit less information. Right? But it's good to understand where they're at in some shape or form. And recently we had a fun fact of it was not an affiliate, it was actually a customer that was participating in our invite program and referral scheme, and then deciding to open TransferWise office in Berlin and few other cities, but we don't have any physical location. So apart from our registered offices, we don't have shops and things like that. So we had to go through the process of shutting this thing down and giving feedback to the panel, and then, you know, the feedback being reviewed and all these kind of things. This is stuff that you you go through when you're like a local guide as well. That's pretty much the same process. But the Google was quite responsive the second time we started to give feedback on that. Also because people were turning up at that address somewhere in Berlin, hoping to find a TransferWise office, which is quite inconvenient for like, because obviously they were trying to monetize through a referral link. Just like people get very creative, but I assume that there are people who are spamming this thing out of the blue quite aggressively. If imagine you start listing a bunch of shops and then you send traffic back to these people with tagged links, you could do something about it. But
we've got another question there as well from Imran, who we haven't seen you for a while. Imran, good to see you still keeping up. Are we okay with responsive sites on Google's mobile first Search Console index? What's the best way to convert a website home services page to AMP? To be honest, I still personally wouldn't switch a services or product site to AMP at the moment. That might change.
You guys have far more local chops, so I'm just going to add in there and ask a secondary question. Isn't AMP still a lot to do with carousels and stuff? Not as much, the mobile first and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's more to do with news, but of course, as mobile becomes more important, people are suddenly paying a lot more attention to AMP than they were before. I'd say it sometimes is going to matter on local, definitely, because a lot more people are doing a local search when they're on their phone than normal. But AMP still is a limitation on what you can do. You've got very limited options in some ways in regards to how people navigate the site, what experience you can give them. I prefer to go for either a responsive site or still a mobile first site, an actual mobile site. I still think that sometimes you want to tweak the experience exactly for the device they're on, and a proper mobile site lets you do more of that tweaking, more of the changing, not just of which bits of content you show and hide, but actually which bits of content you deliver in the first place and in what order when you're dealing with a mobile site. Anyone else?
Yeah, exactly. On some landing pages, we do basically change the structure of the content that we give on mobile, but we probably not so clever in a way that the order of the information is the same as you said, right? We're just deciding that this component is of the page is mobile or not, right? But the actual order is the same, which is not necessarily the right case. In our cases, it's fine, but for other businesses, it could well be that the flow of the user for that particular search intent is different, right? They don't want to consume go through a lot of text and question first, but they want to have an image or a map, right? I don't know, it depends, right? But we're starting to do something like this, but in our case, it's not such a priority. But I assume that some companies, imagine like TFL website or like this type of business, your experience on the go versus at home is completely different, right? So it makes sense not to just hide some section on mobile, but like revamp the whole thing.
I mean, one of the things obviously that's very different is if somebody is reaching you on mobile, calling you on the phone is not hard. So one button, they've already got the phone in their hand. It's more important. So you would push more contact towards that. Whereas on a desktop site, I don't know about everybody else, but I personally get kind of annoyed when that little chat box pops up straight away and, then follows you around the page. Look, if I wanted that, I could scroll to it and find it. So I think on mobile, you want to stress communication in a different way and encourage people to use voice because it's difficult typing on a very small screen. But desktop, it changes things. So I do think there are very different experiences, and I do think there are massive advantages in terms of marketing, persuasion, the way you reach customers emotionally to having two different sites. After all, if you're not meaning anything to the users, it doesn't matter how high you rank. You're just exposing more people to the fact you haven't thought of them.
Yeah, don't look at me, Ammon. You finally found a way to shut me up. Just talk about local. Done. Yeah. Well, the only local I kind of really only deal with is in corporate situations when they've got, you know, whatever, 200-300 distributors, dealerships, and things like that. And you don't want them eating each other's lunch. And you got the mothership and things like that. You know, it could be national or various countries. So I touch it and I play with it here and there, but more on that kind of level. I don't do mom and pop stuff. So I just shut up. And by the way, Ammon, I've been staring here while you guys are talking, you know, staring at my Facebook feed, and you know, when you click down, it shows you like recent messages. There's this one that says Ammon Johns commented, and I'm just like staring. No, I'm not clicking. It's something I wrote. Ammon said something. Oh, I'm not clicking it. Nope.
Yeah, I think it was probably just when you were sharing this.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be just you singing glowing, wonderful praises. Yep, I'm sure of it.
Sent your clients what you're moaning about. And everyone was complimenting you on being a true golden nugget of the industry. Yeah.
Yes, and clients on Wix. And clients on Wix, by the way, my favorite. Which I mean I do love, because I did send her a link to this hangout about 10 minutes ago. So love Wix. I'm kidding. We're getting her off of there. She's gone. So
is the website where you can edit text. That's the ads that they give me.
Oh, it's horrendous, buddy. I'm telling you, it's like big commerce. Not quite. Big commerce isn't quite as bad. And I had someone talk to me about that earlier today, and but yeah, Wix is pretty scary.
Yeah,
like,
and this is it. Although the interface they give you, the idiot click and fill in boxes mode is very, very user friendly. The learning curve.
It's great when you're starting somewhere and you want to get used to the website and what you want, the feel, and you're beginning to get a feel for it. It's great, but after that, as soon as you start to get a little more serious, it's time to move on.
You could do that at WordPress.com, though.
Yeah, true.
Well, I think that's why we're getting Gutenberg, is because they're trying to compete with all these drag and drop and box oriented page builders.
Yeah, I think WordPress is a pretty good place to get started, because if you can make a Word document or any sort of rich text editor, then you're going to find WordPress pretty simple to get to grips with, and you can scale up your knowledge. You know, you can switch to the code view and start adding in your own tags or modifying the attributes of tags, and start getting to grips with code. Admittedly, it's going to be a little while before you then try and work with the PHP, but at least you can slowly move your way up. There is a curve. Whereas Wix, it's more like a cliff. There is easy mode, and then suddenly there is serious hardcore JavaScript and nothing else.
Yeah, I think that's right. Is choosing a platform that can let you grow versus choosing a platform that is going to make you, like, the only solution is to sync with that, right? You will have a sexy page on day one, but will stay that sexy page alone in the middle of nowhere on the web that no one visits. So it's
well, yeah, I'm seeing things in Webmaster Tools. Search Console that I have never seen before. So yeah, Wix is a bunch of fun.
I mean, if somebody is just starting out and they want to have, a lot of control visually over their site, they want to make it easy. They're not too worried about the code yet. I'd honestly say that, that's exactly the reason that the Divi theme is so popular on WordPress. It's the most popular platform. You've still got the tools that you can use, and Divi is very, very handy for enabling you to drag and drop stuff about.
And if you've got to have decent web developer, you know what I mean, that you can call on when you need to do things here and there. It's still flexible and everything else. You know what I mean? Like, Tanya still builds stuff for clients that they can go in and mess about with stuff. But if we need to do some heavier lifting, she can go into the child theme and start messing about and so forth.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's still extensible when needed. So
I think that's actually.
Go on, Simon.
Oh, sorry. On the same topic, kind of, is the reason that Shopify's kind of done quite well is that it's so very, very simple. Yet I had a look at it because I've literally never got into Shopify. It was another, do you want to go on Shopify? No. Either use WooCommerce or Magento. But it's so popular, we're going to end up supporting it now. And when you're getting into the code on that, they've actually made it simple enough for people to be able to edit themselves without really needing to know code. They can still see. They've got to understand that things fit into a little statement, as it were, but they don't need to understand PHP. There's just human readable code almost, and a lot of the examples that they're given in the forums and things like that, it's very, very quick and easy for your kind of general public almost to be able to pick that up and use it. And I think that's one of the real secrets behind why they've become so popular, because you can do coding if you want to know how to do something, the opportunity is there. And I think that's a real specific thing that only Shopify have really got right. Everyone else, as you say, it's either dead easy or ridiculously hard, and there's no in between.
Yeah. I mean, the advantage of things like WooCommerce is there are lots of people who you can hire to do it, but yeah, the learning curve for doing it yourself is steep, and of course you're always dealing with muddy stuff there that you don't necessarily want to risk getting wrong. Let's see what comments we got. We got a couple more that are on the topic. We've got Casey says that he comes across a lot of lawyers that use Wix. Yeah, it's the one that's advertised on the TV.
Is those category that, like in Italy we have Yellow Pages selling those type of sites. It used to sell those type of sites. I'm not sure if they do still, but it's same concept. These are categories that are easy to.
Yeah, and if you're a local lawyer, do you know what? Wix is probably going to be good enough. The times when local service businesses like that need to worry about the real nitty-gritty of every line of code is when they haven't got all the more important off-page signals in their favor. The citations, the links, the reviews are going to be much more important than exactly how efficient your HTML is. It's that simple.
Now, I was working with a local lawyer's website, and he was outranking the courts in the state he worked in, a few of the courts. The judges weren't too happy because he had pictures of judges on his website. So he wrote really big disclaimers about the pictures of the judges, saying that they weren't associated with his website and weren't running things on his website, and it wasn't their website.
Yep. Other than that, yeah, absolutely. Fair play to him. And that is a trick that some lawyers miss. I'll quickly throw that in since it's come up. But actually, reviewing judges, prosecutors, and so on can be really good for a defense lawyer, because if somebody does get their case come up and they're not entirely happy with the first lawyer they've got, they'll often be looking up who's against them. And if you've got a detailed review that's talking about them and the fact that you've come across them in the past and what you like about the decisions and which parts you maybe aren't so keen on, but showing that you're fully familiar with dealing with these people, that can be a really, really good little conversion.
I just want to add to anybody watching, you definitely want to be in this panel in the future, because I was just talking to said client from earlier, Ammon, and told her I'll get to you as soon as possible when I'm done this show with Ammon. She says, "Oh my God, no rush," in capital letters. Please, he's awesome too. But apparently, if you want to get out of some client emails, just come on this hangout and you'll be all right. All right, boys, go ahead.
Yeah, bless her, and I'm glad that things have been starting to turn around from her. She had a tough time. We all know what it's like when somebody is starting out and they see lots of shiny offers for SEO, and it's very difficult if you don't know what you're doing.
Well, you know her story too is back to that Wix thing that she, every web developer and SEO she's approached about it, we're like, yes, I'd be happy to talk to her. Then she mentions Wix, and they're all like, they ran screaming, didn't answer emails, they all just went for the exits. So
yeah, I think in fairness, she also didn't necessarily want to move. That's a big old change. I think a lot of them.
Yeah,
she felt they were immediately pushing her into a sale because they didn't explain what was wrong with Wix.
Yeah. I was on the phone with her 11 o'clock at night and uber long emails and Tanya in on it. And we made quite the, book about the case for why it had to be done. And I agree that some folks, because I know one of the other people you talked to about it, and he was like, I guess I didn't put that right. I think that was part of it too. They didn't quite express with the vehemence and the vigor that we did of no,
Yeah, you've got to sell what's in it for them. It's easy for us as SEOs to be used to lots of things and to just flippantly mention them. But, they don't understand. You've got to make the case and make them understand why this matters to them, not why you want to do it.
I think it goes back to something that I think I see more lately. Like, Terry and I have always talked about how low the bar is set in our industry at times. And, like back when Matt Cutts and companies started cracking down on links, all the link builders became outreach people and inbound marketers, and whichever was left went off to social media marketing. I'll just tweet all day for my clients, so a lot. But I think there's an element out there these days of, I talked to a lot of people, and it's like, having that web development or at least some form of rudimentary understanding of, programming and so forth, and the technology behind a website is still and always has been important for SEOs. I'm pretty sure almost everybody in this room right now has some varied degree of understanding on how to build websites and code and JavaScript, all that kind of stuff. And a lot of the younger generation doesn't seem to have that. They're still gravitating back to that. Give me a red button to push, or do I throw some links at it? There's not a lot of that, seemingly not a lot of that discussion about sort of the back end. There's Jennifer. Weren't we just talking about you earlier?
Oh, no.
Somebody said, has anyone talked to Jennifer lately? I was like, yeah, I was talking to her on Skype the other day. See, Jennifer, you're getting like me. You're not relevant anymore. You better get back in these things more often. Jen, come on, girl.
Yeah, I don't have a conflict anymore. And so I finally was like, okay, it's January. I better get here.
I just thought you'd hibernated.
Oh,
you've been missing all winter.
I hibernated for December pretty much. Now I'm back to the grind.
Yeah, good to see you. How are you? What have you been up to?
A lot of writing. I'm working on a big writing project right now. So that's kind of like what I did over my December did a lot of that writing. So I'm still writing away though. It'll be a while. Slowly but surely.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I hope all those love poems to the Googlers work. We have another question from Imran. He's saying his knowledge graph has disappeared. I presume he means the knowledge box. For brand queries, he was showing up, for his brand, he was getting a knowledge graph box, and now he's not. Do you know of any changes in Google that have changed this business name and area searches?
Is he listed in Wikipedia?
Probably not.
I know recently I've heard a few people complaining that they've lost their boxes. And I think John Mueller might have commented on it, but I can't quite remember. But I think it basically comes down to if they're able to pull information, like obviously not the local box, but the regular knowledge box. If they're able to pull from Wikipedia or Freebase or whatever all other sources they use that they're not telling us about. And quality apparently factors into that as well.
Yeah.
So
it's all... Go on, Tim.
A number of people have been complaining about it, and then it happened for me, and I was surprised and went and took a quick look at my GMB account, and lo and behold, it was suspended. And of course, Google had, in their usual way, said it was for quality reasons, but of course they never say what quality reasons. So I appealed that suspension, and as usual, weeks went by with no response. So I created a new profile. Still didn't come up unless if I search for my brand name without a city modifier. And then finally, I got a notice saying that they had approved my appeal. And lo and behold, it reappeared. So I think it can have to do with duplicate or with suspended listings. And I've heard another couple of people since then say, yeah, there might have been a dupe out there, or it might have been over suspension that they finally, they finally accepted an appeal for. I've asked them to merge those two listings, and I'm still waiting for that, the outcome of that. But you can find me now by brand name, and once again. So I think it has to do with that kind of or it can have to do with either duplicates or suspensions.
Yeah, it kind of depends if it's like the local box, which is a whole like a different thing from the regular knowledge base box that they show. The whole local thing is absolutely crazy because there's just so much spam going on in there. And I know people try to hijack each other's listings to remove them, and it's a brutal space. Like, it's some of the stories I've heard from people in the local space is kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and playing into it, of course, is the big challenge of last year. You know, fake news is still a big issue for all of the platforms, whether it's the search engines or Facebook or Twitter. And they've all been looking at ways of dialing up the amount of.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Ammon. Part of that problem is once I fill out my profile on Google Plus for my page, right, for the company page, and they say okay. No one else, anybody else can go in and change that. Hey, that should be verified and not changeable. That's nonsense.
They're still too easy to report businesses closed. I mean, that is ridiculous. The number of places I go to that supposedly, are closed according to Google Maps is ludicrous. In one town, I would say half of the businesses I regularly use are marked as closed by Google, which is just, it's not good enough. 10% would be bad. 10% would be broken. 50% is just ridiculously broken.
Yeah.
We were able to shut down one of the fake listing of our business with 2 reports. So basically, we went there and say, okay, it doesn't exist. After a few days, it went there, it doesn't exist. Gone from the panel. It's like, for us it was good, right? Because it was the right thing to do. But I assume that someone can do it for a legit business that actually exists as well.
So you reported from the location itself.
We not really, but we have German IP on VPN. Which probably somehow did help, right? So I was connected to VPN and that German IP. They were showing me this for Berlin in particular, and then after 2 times reporting it, they shut it down. That particular one. There was another case, I think, but that particular one went within 2 reports. Which, like, if I was doing it for, sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say another way that. With those business listings are on the reviews. We actually had a review where the person wanted us to tell them a previous customer at mailing address, and Google would not remove that. Like, what the hell? We aren't allowed to give out that information. And yet they expect us to give it out in public? Like, that kind of stuff. Trying to explain that to a client. Oh my God. It's like pulling teeth. I hear it almost. I hear it often. The same one, same complaint. Yep. That's my problem.
the thing is that generally, I think most of those answers are now subject to a little bit more scrutiny. It wants a little bit more authority. For a while, you know, if it just found quite a few places agreeing, that seemed to be enough to get it in. If there were enough links pointing to something as an authoritative source, then no matter what that was, you know, it seemed to get into a knowledge box. I think the level of authority has gone up a little. Do I think it's fixed the problem? Of course not. But it is interfering with some of those knowledge box areas that people were getting before. It needs just a little bit more signal now.
Speaking of reviews, there is a significant change recently that for Google announcing that they would accept complaints about employee reviews, whether they're current or former, and consider taking them down. And that can affect a lot of companies.
Yeah.
But that thing is quite the company one, because for instance, in order for our partners and people that we work with to find our office, we need to have a listing, right? But at the same time, we don't have shops. So like our customer are reviewing the office, you know, whether it should be actual partners who visit the office or employer who should review the office. So like they still haven't quite, or at least as far as I know, there's still like, and then they ask us for business hours, right? So our website is up 24/7, but the office closed at 6. and right, these little things that I'm not sure they really, maybe, you know, it's not such a big problem at scale, but it's just annoying.
That's an issue for a lot of us in the healthcare area, because a lot of us have offices that are closed as far as public visitors after normal business hours, but they're available for new cases or for client or patient emergencies around the clock by phone. But if you put in 24/7 as the hours, and then somebody complains about it, you're likely to get spanked for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think there is an element of this that actually, you know what, it actually goes back to what we were talking about with the website builders. There is an element by which people often think that simple is the only way, and that simple means, you know, it must be easy and open access and all the rest of it. Sometimes simple is having clear steps, and it doesn't have to be that it's one simple operation. It means that you can step through the process, you know, a bit like the instructions for building a model kit. You know, kids can follow these. It's all there. Doesn't mean there aren't 500 moving parts, but you can step through one by one, and it's got them all there, and it's not difficult. And I think that's something Google need to have a look at, is how to lower the difficulty rather than make things too easy for people to mess around with. You know, businesses need to be able to simply learn to be able to step up piece by piece and manage their thing, rather than have it so that it's just, oh, anyone does this, we're going to take it seriously.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, one of the things that when that announcement came out about those Google reviews about ex-employees and stuff, I think it just reflects the fact that majority of people will never go out of their way to leave a good review. They will go out of their way to leave a bad one because they want to get some kind of revenge almost in their mind for it. And I think one of the big things, I mean, I guess, Ammon, you probably get the same thing in the UK. The whole kind of getting reviews for Google My Business is nowhere near what it is in the States. And I think trying to talk customers into driving reviews, both for SEO benefit, maps listings showing up higher and everything associated with it, is actually quite a difficult thing, because, you know, I mean, a majority of our local clients, none of their competitors have any reviews. So they're always saying, well, why do I need to do it? And it only takes a few irritated employees to really ruin your day when that kind of thing happens. Yep. I think it's a good change. Yeah.
It's certainly something. I mean, personally, I like to do it psychologically. One of the ways that you massively increase the number of positive reviews you get is to feature them. People love their little 15 minutes of fame. If they feel that giving you a positive review is going to get their name featured on your website, and they like your brand, they want to be there. They are going to submit a good review. There's a lovely story years ago of a sandwich shop, you know, one of these lunchtime sandwich shops that had customer reviews printed out from, you know, the Yelps and the local guides and things like that, as well as the, you know, Google reviews and things. And they'd feature them. They were up on the walls in the shop. They were proud of them. And of course, that meant their customers were used to seeing these reviews themselves and wanted their turn.
Yeah.
I do think that that is very important. You know, people will give reviews if they see that they matter to you. And people will also give reviews if they see that they matter to them, i.e. if during their process of determining whether your product was the right product for them or whether your service was the right service for them, relied on the reviews to help them, they're much more likely to give a really detailed and helpful review themselves afterwards to help others.
Yeah, absolutely. And if they hit 200 characters, they get extra points on their local guide as well.
We do interview customers to put them in our like ads and things like that. And you know, when someone says something obviously positive, the genuine comment that you get on social media is that, you know, you have been paying this guy, but you know, this guy, they all come to be on camera for about 10-15 seconds in front of hundreds of thousands of people, like most of the time. Some of them love our brand, some of them you know, believe in our mission as a company, but you know, without going into the detail of each of them, there must be someone who like, yeah, he's okay with our brand, he's okay with our company, but it's gonna be in front of like many people on social media, and you know, he wants to be, right? So it's like,
I knew of a trendy bar that actually one night a week would go around and quickly interview the people in the bar. You know, are you having a good time? How do you feel about it? And they were recording it. They would video it. And each month they would make a little montage of all of this. And people would tune in to see if they'd been featured. But it also meant, you know, these good experiences were positively shown on their site all the time. And you'd be surprised how many of those led
which
to...
which is a great example when people say, you know, my business isn't suited for video. My business isn't suited for an infographic. My business isn't suited for... There's always a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I like to bring up Lyndon Ancliffe a lot because he's got one of those creative minds that can find those kind of holes. And, you know, someone was having that conversation with him back in the day. I don't know, it was Finn or Forum or wherever the hell it was. And the guy says, you know, he says, well, listen, here, I'll give you one you couldn't think of. Person I know, client I know, someone came to me and they had a dry cleaner, right? You know, your little mom and pop local dry cleaner business, right? How do you come up with something for that? He goes, boom, top 10 weirdest things ever found in someone's pockets at a dry cleaner. You know what I mean? And he was like marijuana and this and that. And he had this list of weird things by literally just going to the customer and saying, okay, really, what are the weirdest things you've ever found in someone's pockets? And boom, you've got interesting content that will be shareable. You know, it's just about having that creative mind and process to find something, you know, in any type of area of marketing, video or graphic or whatever you want, that will appeal to people. You just got to, you know, dig it up and think about it.
Yeah. I was giving some advice to somebody that was involved with a very high-class escort agency recently, and they said, you know, people aren't going to leave.
Were you there getting services at the time? No, sorry, I'm just looking for new nuggets. My bad.
Anyway, he was saying, you know, it's so hard to get links that aren't just the adult industry. I said, look, it's really simple. Look, it's a high-class escort agency. So find a top dry cleaner in the city and write about how essential they are to somebody who needs to have their best wardrobe looked after professionally in a hurry. You know, they've been out with one client for an important red carpet do the day before. Their favorite dress got caught in the door of the limo on the way out and needed urgent repair. Who do they trust for fast, you know, repair that still lets them get out there and look the part for, you know, an appearance-based business? It's amazing the partnerships you can think laterally to bring out. And once you've highlighted how important image was to somebody in the escort business, those other businesses don't necessarily mind being linked to it. It's quirky, it's different. And you'll be surprised how many reviews you can get by thinking laterally.
I mean, look at the way that Pornhub has managed to bring itself into the kind of limelight almost, because the way that they're doing their marketing at the moment and the way that they're coming up with these cracks and things and ideas where they can actually talk to the mainstream market without being kind of, oh God, it's a porn site. I'd love to meet the guy behind their, well, guy or gal behind their marketing strategy, because the way they've managed to do that in the past couple of years now has been brilliant.
Yeah, yeah. We are past time, so let's do a quick roundup. Bill, what have you got coming up in the week ahead?
I've got at least one audit to do, which should be fun. I enjoy doing those. I've got a couple of blog posts I need to get started. I have topics, so it's just a matter of writing at this point.
Yeah, yeah. Dave, you should try doing audits.
No, I hear they're very, very complicated, so I just give them all to Alan Blaywise so he can bankrupt their company. Sorry, man. Me and Emma on this conversation the other days. I was like, dude, I don't charge nearly as much as your $350 an hour. He's like, well, I'm up to this and that now. And I was like, okay, whatever. Yeah, I got actually a few audits up to go, and mostly I'll just be talking more since I got to rest my lungs for my throat's been rested for the last hour. So I'm just gonna summarily go start another hangout after this. But yeah, again, just the same as off the top, just the same old for me here. Other than the fact is, if I don't start digging into Simon's tool, he's going to, kill me. So, other than the usual, I've got that to do.
I'm good, mate. So I've got my explainer video.
Doc.
This week, I've got some medical things to take care of, and I've got tax time. I've been putting it off, but I've got to dig into that and get my taxes done. And some clients that I've got a couple of client meetings this week, and more of the same.
Doc has a hard week coming up, everyone. It's time to buy shares in hard liquor companies.
Yeah, the stocks in whiskey is about to go up.
Fab, what are you up to this week?
Nothing that strange, and same old. Finishing plans. We get in our quarterly feedback sessions where everyone try to dismantle your plan, giving feedback, and then hopefully work. Right. We have a lot of stuff to ship, and we need to ship a lot of things, and we have been a bit slow. So we, hopefully just sitting down with developers to do stuff, which is the most exciting part.
You make in-house sound so luxurious and exciting.
No, it's actually like it's not like, it's never easy, right? If it was so easy, everyone would build website that work and get traffic and everything, right? It's never easy, but at least you're on, let's say, on the driving seat of doing things versus just telling someone maybe you could do this and hoping for the best. So it's down to us. We either succeed or fail, right? And there's not too much. We cannot say that we haven't done it because of X, Y, Z. We have. That's the thing, and hopefully hire a bit more people, because we launched a bunch of things 2 years ago, and unfortunately they're all successful. But then now we have to take care of them, which is like a good problem to have, but we have to grow the team to support all this stuff. Versus if you launch 5 projects and 1 out of 5 works, you're still clever, and but you have only 1 to take care of. But they're all doing fairly okay, and some of them particularly well. So it's a pity not to dedicate time.
And as well as maintaining them, you've got to watch out, because if you just focus on really polishing those up, you can bet your ass that your boss will go, You haven't created anything new in a while. You used to do all this new stuff. You know, what are you doing? Twiddling your thumbs?
Usually it's quite the opposite. It's me that want to build new stuff and get more traffic, and other people telling me, you know, you have shit ton of traffic. Why don't you, why don't we get customers out of this traffic, right? But versus I'm still in this building phase where we started 2 years ago with one landing page, the home page, right? So there was no website. So I still don't feel that there's a lot out there that we can build before we worry too much about we best squeezed all the value out of this traffic that we're getting. But yeah, it's gonna be this year we're gonna start doing some of this stuff because we have some components of the site that are becoming quite big, and it's a pity to get so much traffic and like don't focus on them, right? So let's see. Hopefully it will go well.
Now, I know Jen's going to say that she's got more writing to do, but yeah, come on, tell us firsthand, Jen.
I'll have to come up with something more interesting next time. I'm going to be doing more writing. Yeah, that's my life. Reading too, if that counts, but yeah.
Are there any particular pieces you got coming up that you're really enjoying and looking forward to getting out there?
All SEO industry stuff, so.
Yeah.
Well, that's no fun. Wow.
Yeah. And it's not like you could have a dozen people sitting around talking for an hour on it. There's nothing to it.
Don't worry, you just let me back on there, honey. I'll get you. I will drum up some stuff. Has anybody Googled Matt Cutts' bitch lately? No, I can pull a post for you, honey. Don't you worry. Yeah. Okay. Don't ask. Just go Google it sometime. That's all.
Simon, I know you were saying you were on another explainer video.
Yeah, it was on that tool that I mentioned to you last week, which David's having a look at some point. I've spent 2 days now trying to get the damn thing finished, and then blue screened halfway through the audio on the one take when it actually
hands off all of you. I get to write about it first, so just back off, Jen. Back off, man.
But
anyways, it's actually, of all the tools I've been shown in the last few years, it's probably, if not the best, one of the best. So he's actually onto something, which is a rare thing out there. So sorry, go ahead.
I'm good. No, you carry on, mate. Is there anything else nice you'd like to say about it? But yeah, basically finish that and get it live, because we've been working on it for 4 years now. So it's kind of a bit of a labour of love, and I've decided the only way to actually explain what's going on is just do a quick video of it. So finish that off, and then I'm going to incorporate this the unlinked URLs into my mentions thing after the kind suggestion from Terry there. And yeah, a couple of sites to go live, more client work, and 2 quotations, which I should have done today, but I was doing a video.
And I'll tell you what, Jen, you leave him alone and I'll publish it on your yeah, all right? Okay, we got a deal. Good.
Steve, obviously catching up the luxury of having had a vacation.
Yeah, catching up mostly, but I just wondered, Mike, go back to the charitable organization. If you guys can go to takeherback.org, donate if you can, help out if you can. You can find them on Facebook and a couple other places, and it's an important group, so I want to help them do as much as we can.
Did you stick on the YouTube page as well as the actual G Plus page there, Steve?
I can.
Yeah, and obviously go ahead and Dojo group and anywhere, go nuts.
Yep.
Terry.
Yes.
Other than no good, what are you up to this week?
Watching the Leafs game, duh.
Well, that won't take all week.
3 times this week, so it's a good one. The usual. Probably add some structured data to some event programming I've been doing. And that'd be the highlight of the week.
Well, thanks everybody for joining us. I know we've gone 10 minutes over, but you don't stop a good thing that easily. We will probably carry on talking in the green room for a while. Thanks everyone for joining us, and we'll see you again next time.